The simple fact is, the very first Thanksgiving in this country, the reason the Pilgrims were so thankful that they had a bounteous harvest, get this, y'all, it's because socialism failed in 16, 20, 21, 22, and 23, I guess it was, just like it always fails.
Get ready for news and views from Lubbock, Texas, USA. What's going on and real talk with people who move and do things. This is the Focus LBK Show with your host, Robert Jenkins.
Hey, what's good, LBK? This is Robert Jenkins, your host for the Focus LBK Show. We want to welcome you to this Thanksgiving edition of the Focus LBK Show. I believe we are on season 3, episode 115. Man, you would think I would know how to look at this before the show, but you know, sometimes you be moving and grooving and you just don't have time to necessarily pay attention to all the details. But I feel certain, yes, indeed, this is Season 3, Episode 115 of the Focus LBK Show. Again, this is our Thanksgiving show. If you're tuning in today, I sure appreciate you. I would like to just do for today's show, I want to talk about the origins of Thanksgiving. Y'all heard me talk about, y'all know if you listen to this show at all, listen to me talk anywhere and run my mouth, you know that I don't dig socialism. And the reason I don't dig socialism is because no matter how rosy a picture they try to paint you, no matter how glorious they try to make it look, no matter how good they try to make it sound like you're going to be getting free stuff and everything's going to be provided for you, the simple fact is socialism is slavery in slow motion. So socialism is when people use force, usually a so-called governing body uses force to make you give up your goods for the community so that they can then, in turn, delve your money out to other people. And the way it works, we're humans. So the way these things work is that your money gets given to the people that they like to get it. People that look like them, people that come from the same place as them, people that they identify with, get that money. Somebody once said, I think it might have been Reagan or somebody, and I don't mean to make this like some big conservative thing. I'm actually a libertarian. Libertarianism is really the opposite of socialism. Socialism is where the government tries to claim that they own you. That's why it's slavery in slow motion, because if you get right down to it, you're saying that you own the means of production. That's communism. That's socialism. No, the means of production ultimately is a human being. Every means of production is produced by a human being. Everything that is worth having or doing on this planet is done by a human being or made by a human being. Now, that may change a little bit. Sure, there's robots, but guess who make the robots? Human beings make the robots. Human beings design the robots. No matter how you slice it, the human being is the basis of all wealth and all prosperity on this planet. The individual human being. When you have another person and you try to make them work for your ends, that is the very definition of slavery. Slavery is when you forcibly make somebody use their body, mind, or hands, or whatever the case may be, to serve your ends instead of their own ends. And see, this is the thing. I'm talking about Thanksgiving here. I'm thankful for a lot of stuff, but one thing I'm not thankful for is this swing towards socialism that we're seeing in this country. And it's ironic that the original Thanksgiving, I don't know if you've been taught this or if you've read it or you peeped it out and checked it out for yourself, but I'm going to put these sources all down here. You can click on these links under this in the show notes down here. The simple fact is, the very first Thanksgiving in this country, the reason the Pilgrims were so thankful that they had a bounteous harvest, get this, y'all, it's because socialism failed in 16, 20, 21, 22, and 23, I guess it was, just like it always fails. You know why socialism fails? Because it's based on It has a view of mankind that is not rooted in reality. The simple fact is, and you know this if you're a Christian, mankind is fallen. We're made in God's image, but we're imperfect creatures. That's why I say we're fallen. And because we're imperfect, you cannot count on doing something good that sounds good. You cannot count on something that seems like it ought to be good on paper, like socialism and communism. You have to take man's nature into account whenever you devise some sort of governing system or economic system. Since man is fallen, as Christians, we know that you need to put things in place to keep man going along the right path. Socialism and communism acts like, oh, we could just take from man. It's for the better good. It's from each according to his ability and to each according to his need. No. Man is greedy. Man likes to help himself. Man likes to be rich. And because of that, socialism always fails. Socialism is slavery because it says, hey, you got to work for the good of everybody else. Capitalism, the opposite of socialism, is imperfect too, because we're all imperfect. But the beauty of capitalism is that it recognizes that men and women, mankind, are imperfect. And as imperfect beings, capitalism has a mechanism built into it to where you can take that imperfection, which is the desire for wealth and the desire, basically you want to call it greed. It's what it is. Greed is inbuilt into man. Capitalism makes it so that if you are greedy, you want some money, you can actually make money by making a product or a service that people want. And the more you refine your product or your service and make it better and better, more people will buy it. And if you scale your production up to where you can pay other people to help you make these things, you can actually sell stuff and fulfill your need, that need for money, that need for wealth. We all have that desire to be wealthy, to be self-sufficient and independent. Capitalism harnesses the natural greed of mankind, the natural desire to do for self and earn for self, and turns it into a way to voluntarily earn wealth from other human beings. That's capitalism. Socialism, there's no force in capitalism. And now the government that we have today, let me just say right out the bat, it's not capitalist at all. We're fascists. We live in a fascist government. And we're becoming more and more fascist, no matter who's president, by the way. We become more and more fascist as the decades roll by. It's not a political thing. I'm not talking about Joe Biden or Trump or Obama or Clinton or Bush. We have become steadily more fascist over time. Fascism is defined as by Mussolini, one of the original fascists, as when government and big business become one. That's not capitalism. That's crony capitalism, which is to say fascism. Now, going back to the original Thanksgiving, I started off at the beginning and I said, and I'm going to go into the proof here. I'm going to read the actual diary of the governor of the colony. When the Pilgrims came over, a dude named William Bradford became the governor. And he wrote a diary account of everything that happened. So the Pilgrims, make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, the reason they were thankful, the reason they had a big, bountiful, plentiful harvest, I think it was in 1623. Yeah. After 1623. 1623 is after 2 or 3 years they had socialism in place or communism in place. So get this. Tell y'all the story of how this first Thanksgiving was a communal or communist or socialist effort, and it utterly failed and almost killed the whole colony because they almost starved to death. And after they divided up the land and did things in a more capitalistic way, that next year they had an overflow because they took advantage, again, of man's natural desire to have plenty of stuff. We like to have plenty. And if you leave us alone and let us work, we'll work and make plenty. So the Pilgrims, basically, the colony was doomed. They set out to find Virginia, leaving from Britain, came over here to land in Virginia. They accidentally landed in Massachusetts because of a storm. They landed in the middle of winter. Long story short, the wealthy guys who had financed the expedition of the Pilgrims from Britain to here, they are the ones who said, this has to be a communal effort. Any profits, all crops, all trade, all profits and everything has to be put into a pot and shared equally among all the people. Now, keep in mind, this was a small group. This wasn't no big city. This was a small group. Communism, socialism / it's the same thing. It's a difference of degree. Failed even with a group of people who signed the Mayflower Compact. Y'all remember this, right? They signed the Mayflower Compact and basically said, hey, Lord, we swear before you right now that we will form one body politic and we elect this dude right here, governor. I can't think of his name, but he died. And then Bradford became the government, the guy who's the governor, the guy whose diary we have. And he describes exactly what happens. So they land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock. We didn't land on Plymouth Rock. Plymouth Rock landed on us. What did Malcolm X say? Or at least Denzel said it. I don't know if Malcolm X ever said that. I think he did, actually. Anyway, I digress. We getting into this socialism and communism failing as always, and that being the true cause of why we started Thanksgiving and why we were thankful. The Pilgrims, I say we, I wasn't there. Why the Pilgrims were thankful and had that first Thanksgiving. So I'm going to read y'all this. I think this comes from source books. One of my quotes here, one of my sources here, sourcebooks.fordham.edu, Fordham University. Also carolinajournal.com, the American Enterprise Institute, and the texaspolicy.com. So they have basically excerpts of this gentleman's diary, the governor of Plymouth Plantation, Plymouth Colony. So I'm gonna read it to you. William Bradford, the governor of Plymouth Colony, was one of those pilgrims that made the voyage across an angry sea in 1620, hoping to find Virginia, but instead being forced by weather to what is now known as Massachusetts, or Taxachusetts they call it. Arriving during a harsh New England winter, the settlers were already at an incredible disadvantage. Bradford kept extensive diaries, which he documented the harrowing experience of the Plymouth colony over those first few years. And later, he spelled out exactly what the pilgrims were so thankful for as to share in a feast with the local Native American tribes. According to Bradford, the governor of Plymouth colony, the man who was in charge, there was an even more sinister force than a harsh winter that threatened the survival of the diseased and hungry pilgrims. It was called collectivism. The investors that financed the Mayflower's expedition stipulated that all property and profit obtained from the venture was to be held communally, meaning all land, crop, harvest, trade profits, and everything else, any money they made, had to be held collectively, put into a collective pot. And for some reason, the financiers thought that this was the best way to maximize the return on investments. The results, I'm still quoting this article, the results were disastrous. Under the common stock system, Bradford notes, the young, healthy men began to resent the mothers and children that did nothing to set corn, but still got to eat just the same. Now, last week, I talked about the SNAP benefits and how I felt that way myself, seeing people live better than me on SNAP and the taxes that I pay. And I'm working and in school and can't afford the stuff that they was affording, and how that naturally breeds jealousy and upsetness, disquietude. Well, get this. The experience, this is Bradford in his diary, the experience that was had in this common course and condition, tried sundry years, and that amongst godly and sober men, may well evince the vanity of that conceit of Plato's and other ancients, which is applauded by some of later times, that the taking away of property and bringing into community a commonwealth would make them happy and flourishing. Get this, he says, as if those people are wiser than God. It is not in man's nature to voluntarily work for the provision of other people. It is man's nature to voluntarily work for himself and his family. And that's what the governor says here. Excuse me. All the young men were upset because they had to work for people who didn't work and they planted corn. And instead of getting the corn that they planted, everybody got the corn, even people that didn't plant corn. I'll just read it to you. It says, for this community, so far as it was found to breed much confusion and discontent, and to retard or slow down much employment that would have been to their benefit and comfort. For the young men that were most able and fit for labor and service did repine that they should spend their time and strength to work for other men's wives and children without any recompense. So all the young men, all the young strong men that plant all the corn and do all the hard work was upset that they were working for, they were single. Why are they planting corn for other people's wives and children? And then they don't get nothing out of it. They get the same amount as everybody, but they do all the work. They was upset. The strong, or the man of parts, I guess they mean like the businessman type, had no more in division of victuals and clothes than the person who was weak and not able to do a quarter that the other could. And this was thought injustice. So the able-bodied and the capable men were upset that weak people and people who did no work got the same amount as them. The aged and graver men to be ranked and equalized in labors and victuals, etc., with the meaner and younger sort, they thought this was some indignity and disrespect unto them, and for men's wives to be commanded to do service for other men, such as dressing their meat and washing their clothes, etc. They deemed this as a kind of slavery. Neither could many husbands well brook it. So the married man was like, yo, why is my wife washing clothes for these people over here? She need to wash our clothes. I need to hunt for my family. I don't need to hunt for his family. So you see, by having this collectivist experiment, they utterly failed. They utterly failed. They almost starved to death. And on top of that, they were supposed to get resupplied from London or Britain or whatever, and that didn't come. So here they are in these cold, harsh New England winters, upset. Nobody want to work. Y'all heard me say right there, the community was found to breed such confusion and discontent as to retard or slow down much employment that would have been to everybody's benefit. So in other words, the people thought it was slavery. It says right there, they deemed it a kind of slavery to have to work in this system. It is slavery. So what I just say, so that's what I come to the conclusion. Socialism is slavery in slow motion. Communism is just straight up slavery. And socialism leads to communism. So here they were. They almost starved to death, even though they had a lot of people of them did starve to death. A lot of their numbers, they lost a lot of people in these cold winters with barely any food. And so basically like one winter, they was like, yo, man, when this snow stop, we got to do something different. This right here, this sharing all the work and all the produce that comes up from that work, sharing it among people who don't even work. And some people get to lay back and chill and get the food that everybody else is producing. This is not working. We are starving to death. Yo, we got to try something different. Today, not tomorrow, today. And that's what they did. So what they did, let me get to it right here. So, here you go. At length, after much debate of things, the governor, with the advice of the chiefest among them, gave way that they should set corn or plant corn, every man for his own particular, and in that regard, trust to themselves, and in all other things to go in the general way as before. And so they assigned to every family a parcel of land according to the proportion of their number for that end, only for present use, but made no division for inheritance. So they gave them a little plot of land, depending on the size of the family, and said, you work this land and plant for your family. And get this. This had very good success, for it made all hands very industrious. So as much more corn was planted than otherwise would have been by any other means the governor or any other could use, and saved him a great deal of trouble and gave far better content. The women now went willingly into the field and took their little ones with them to plant corn, which before would allege weakness and inability, whom to have compelled would have been thought great tyranny and oppression. So when they said, yo, you got to get out there and scratch for the scratch yourself, everybody went to the field like, oh, word. Yeah, if you don't work, you don't eat. They even took their kids out there and had the kids help them planting corn. And they planted and harvested so much corn, they had a great abundance. And they was able to get with some of the friendly Indian tribes. And we all know the rest of the story. They had the first Thanksgiving. But the simple fact is, I don't think they teach this much in school. I noticed that he said they wanted to try this conceit. People like Plato and other ancient philosophers wanted to try this great conceit of communal living or socialism, communism or collectivism. The simple fact is that's contrary to human nature. No man enjoys being a slave. No man or woman, when I say man, I mean mankind. Y'all know me. old school rules. No man likes to work for other people. I'm the breadwinner for my family, and I feel, you talking about things I'm thankful for, I'm very thankful that God has made me capable of doing so, of being the breadwinner. And one of the things that I have noticed, and I can only speak for myself, but I think this is true for all other men that are worth their salt. If you're the breadwinner for your family, you delight in working hard. You delight in working overtime. It ain't fun at the moment, but you think about it down the road. When you look back on it, you go, yeah, that was good. Because you're making better for your family. You're producing more for your family. That is literally what God made Adam, to do. It says in the Bible somewhere, I don't know the book and the chapter and all that, but it say you got to work and earn your living by the sweat of your brow. It don't say you got to earn his living by the sweat of your brow. You have to earn your living by the sweat of your brow. To me, that's the way God ordained it. That's the way it was set in motion. That's the way it was supposed to be. There's an order to things. To go against that natural order, trying to do some socialism or communism, having other people work for people they don't even know or like necessarily, that's contrary to human nature. And that's why socialism always fails. Socialism, man is greedy. You got to accept this. We're greedy creatures. We're envious creatures. Socialism is based on envy and greed. Let's take that man's stuff. He rich. Let's take his stuff and divide it up amongst us. No, that's theft. The only way you can do that is to use force to do it. And that's why socialism and communism are immoral, and they go against the nature of man. Man is envious and greedy. We like to make money. We like to have things. What Big Mike say? Just a young brother having things, man. Yeah, what y'all know about that Big Mike? Mankind likes to make money and have money and do for his family, for their families. Man and woman both like this. Man and woman are programmed to do this. That is the purpose of marriage, is to bring you together so that y'all can form a properly balanced unit to provide for the family, to provide for one another and your children. And you have a community ceremony, a marriage ceremony, so that all your homeboys and friends and family saw y'all commit to each other and will make y'all stay together so that you can provide for your family. That's the point of marriage. In other words, what I'm saying is working for your family seems to me to be divinely ordained. It's the way things work. It's the way they're meant to work. And everybody worth their salt knows that and actually takes joy and delight secretly in their heart, working hard for their family. When you see your family advance, you don't mind working hard. But if you busting your tail and everybody else is getting the same as you and you ain't getting nothing out of it, but they getting your share, and you look over there and see them chilling, you can't help but be like, oh man, I'm in these fields setting corn, as the Pilgrims say. I'm setting corn from sun up to sundown. I know I planted 5 or 6 acres by myself and harvested 5 or 6 acres. Why I don't get 5 or 6 acres worth of corn? But he didn't do nothing. He sure got 3 or 4 acres worth of corn himself, harvested, but he didn't do nothing. That family over there, that is natural. Socialism is an unnatural imposition that works against the very nature of man. Capitalism is imperfect as well, but at least it takes man's greed and makes it so that, yeah, you can fulfill your desire for money by actually serving other people. Raise your hand out there if you raise cattle. You don't raise no cattle, do you? I don't. But I sure got steak in my freezer. How's that? How I got steak and hamburger meat in my freezer, and I got it voluntarily and nobody had to slave away for me for free. It's because we live in a capitalist society, and some people earn money by raising cattle. Some people raise cotton, pick cotton and chop cotton and all that. They don't do that no more, but they harvest cotton. That's the way they choose to earn money, to satisfy their greed, their desire for things. And guess what? Everything I got on right now is cotton, and I ain't never touched a cotton boll. How is that? Because the dude that raised cotton want money, and I got money and I need clothes, and we voluntarily exchange. See, that's the key right there. It's the voluntary exchange of the fruit of your labor. That is capitalism. Voluntarism. That's why I'm a libertarian, a voluntarist. You cannot introduce force into the equation. Once you introduce force into the equation, and you make people forcibly give up what they work for to support other people that they don't wish to support, that becomes some form of slavery. You can call it what you want: socialism, communism, collectivism, all that. You can call it all kind of isms, but the simple fact is slavery to some degree or another. Simple, plain facts. It's hard to argue with it if you just really think it through. If you're working and somebody else is getting the benefit of your labor and you don't really support that and don't really want to do it, you're working against your will to support somebody else. What is that? Somebody please explain to me how that's not slavery. So if you make it sound good and you put different tax rates on it and all that stuff, you make it all, it's a collective income tax. By the way, you read the Communist Manifesto. That's one of the planks in the Communist Manifesto is a graduated income tax system. What do you say? From each according to their ability, to each according to his need. That's income tax. You pay more, you pay less, you pay this, you pay that. Why are you paying anybody part of your labor when nobody actually wants to do that? Raise your hand if you want to do that. Now, here's the thing. Of course, we want roads and stuff like that. Police, they always say roads, fire, and police. Yeah, we want those services. People will voluntarily pay for that. In fact, people used to voluntarily pay for private companies to do that, and they probably did it better than the government. The government. Is there anything that the government does that you appreciate and like DMVs and taxes? And think of all the stuff the government makes you do, and they don't even do it well, but they make you come to them because out of a monopoly of force, basically. It's just craziness. It's all some degree of slavery, involuntary servitude. My people, I don't know about you, but I feel like I'm about done with involuntary service. I don't want to enter into any kind of covenant or compact with anybody. Talking about some involuntary servitude. No. I voluntarily serve my family because I love them dearly, and I just know deep in my heart, and I feel deep in my heart that my whole purpose as a man is to serve my family. That's why God put me here, is to serve my family in some way, form, or fashion, whatever way, form, or fashion I can. And you will prosper when you're voluntarily and happily working away and you see yourself getting ahead. You like that. Let's roll. Shoot, man, I just made, I bet you if I do this and then do that, I could probably double that, what I just made. You think like that when you're serving happily your family and your wife and your children. Maybe even your extended family. But it's voluntarily. That's why you work harder, and that's why you get ahead. When it's involuntary, you grumble and you don't understand why people that don't work are getting ahead or staying afloat off your labor. It's against human nature to do that. That's all I'm saying. Just something for you to consider on this Thanksgiving while you're off. Got the whole weekend off, a couple of days here and there. So I'm going to be sitting back and I'm going to be thinking about this kind of stuff. And I hope you think about it too. And I tell you what, LBK, I want to kind of close out by saying 2025 is a kind of a challenging year. And for my family, there was a lot of health issues, not my personal family, my immediate family, my nuclear family, but my extended family. We had some health issues and some death, some untimely, surprising death, accidental death that was just put a damper on the Thanksgiving holiday for us. But I told my family, I said, guys, we don't have to do a turkey and all that. We normally don't even do turkey anyway. But I said, I think we should still celebrate Thanksgiving. We can tone it down and keep it simple. Honestly, I think we should keep it toned down and keep it simple from now on out. Honestly, we're all grown. There's no need to be going all out. Being in the kitchen 24 hours, making big old 17-gallon tubs of stuffing. I mean, come on. There's 4 of us, man. Make a little thing of stuffing. I don't even need stuffing. We finna do some, I always want to call them ham hocks, but they are not ham hocks. We are fixing to make oxtails, some baby back ribs, macaroni and cheese, green bean casserole, and sweet potatoes. That's it. That's all you need. Keep it simple and be thankful for the fact that this is what I plan to do, is keep it simple and be thankful for the fact that my family is strong and healthy and together. I keep it simple and be grateful and immensely thankful for the fact that I'm able to provide for my family. being thankful that I'm sound body and mind and able to plan for next year being even better than this year. These are the things that I'm truly thankful for. I'm thankful for my brothers and my parents, my good friends, my wife, my beautiful kids. And did I say my lovely wife? She is lovely. Isn't she love? Ain't that y'all heard that song? Y'all know that Stevie Wonder song. He was talking about my wife. He wasn't talking about nobody else, even though she wasn't born at the time. Isn't she lovely? That's what I'm thankful for. And I'm also thankful for this cold weather. It's a lot of things I'm thankful for. LBK, if you're tuning in right now, man, please be thankful. That's gratitude and thankfulness it's one of the ways that you actually enjoy life. You walking around grumbling and mumbling all the time, and you're not focusing on all the things that you have. You're just focusing on the things that you don't have, or that you failed to achieve, or you lack. Well, that's bound to make you miserable. But if you spend a few moments every day thinking about the things that you're grateful for, you can't help but be happy. You can't help but realize, there but for the grace of God, go I, that old saying. So I'm very thankful. I thank my Heavenly Father that He has provided for my family and I all throughout last year. And I pray that He would continue to provide for us and for everybody that we know and love, including everybody out there in the LBK. If your 2025 wasn't as good as it could have been, I hope your 2026 is better. And again, thankful for y'all tuning in here. I'm thankful to be able to have the equipment and the ability to come to you. Just so much to be thankful for. I'm thankful I live in what I would say is the greatest country on the planet. Some people say make America great again. Some people say when was America ever great? And I'm like, well, clearly it always has been great and remains great because everybody in the whole world want to come here. You don't want to go to no place that ain't great. You don't want to go to no mediocre place. You want to go to the best place you can get, right? Again, human nature. Don't nobody want to live in a dump. You want to live in the best place you can live. A place where you are afforded the greatest opportunity to maximize your individual talents. Not the place where you are afforded the greatest opportunity to get free stuff. It's despicable. Anyway, thank y'all for tuning in. And once again, I hope y'all enjoy Thanksgiving. I hope you take some time off and chill. I'm about to. Boy, I tell you what, other than cooking these ribs, y'all ain't gonna see me do nothing this Thanksgiving. I might not even come out my office. I might not even take my robe off. I just keep my robe on all day. You know, my wife will get mad. She ain't gonna let me do that. But anyway, that's what I want to do in the back of my mind. If I had my druthers. LBK, I'm just running my mouth now. I'm about to sign off. But before I do, thank you for all the many opportunities that you've given me this past year to speak to you guys, to be with you guys, to make pictures and videos of you guys, to focus on LBK. Thank you for that opportunity. And well, man, we'll see you in the new year. And hopefully we'll see each other in a bigger and better way. All right, y'all. Take care. Peace.